Hi, it's Ken with WalkTheLot.com, and if you'd like to turn this photo into this one, stay tuned. From time to time I get requests of people wanting to do cityscape backgrounds on their vehicle photos. In particular, people who don't have the luxury of having a photo booth or a great location to stage the vehicle when they're taking vehicle photos and printing window stickers. Now, there are services out there that do this for you. It's my impression that there is no way to do this in an automated way. Those companies that provide this service, there is a human being touching the photos and doing this, more than likely in Photoshop. More than likely they're farming this out overseas or possibly to college students or others that are willing to work for, maybe $1 a photo or less. It's my personal preference to keep jobs in the United States, and this is something that you can do on your own. With a little bit of practice, you should be able to knock out these photos in anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes apiece. And avoid yourself a lot in monthly fees, allowing you to charge your dealers for work performed in the United States. So let's get right to it. You may have your photos stored on your local computer. In the event that you're using WalkTheLot.com's weblot and you need to get access to one of your photos that you've already uploaded to do this type of work to, you're just going to go to your vehicle list, find the vehicle with a photo you want, click it. We will go to the Pics tab, and generally speaking, you're only going to do the first photo. So this icon here allows you to upload a photo. This icon here allows you to download the photo, which in many cases for our users already have a overlay on them with the dealer's logo and things, so that may not be the one you want. Of course, this deletes the photo. But over here, for every first photo uploaded to the system, we keep a copy of the photo on the servers that has not been overlaid with a watermark. So to get a hold of this photo, just click the cloud download icon. In some browsers, when you click this link, it'll automatically download, and others, they may not support the download tag in an href, anchor ref. So click that. You'll have the photo there. Right-click the image, save as, and save it to somewhere on your computer where you want to get a hold of it. Let's jump right into Photoshop. Let me first start off by saying I am not a Photoshop expert. This is the third day that I've spent maybe a couple hours working in Photoshop. So you don't have to be an expert at this to do it. There may be some tips and tricks that there are other ways to do it that people that are more familiar and fluent in Photoshop could maybe point you to. But generally speaking, these methods will work for pretty much everything, and it should be sufficient for the work that you want to do. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the File menu and Open. Now granted, you could go ahead and drag and drop images into this space as well down here. I'm going to go ahead and select Open. To start off, I'm going to select this vehicle photo, because it's a nice clean photo that does a pretty nice job. We will in a moment though get to a less desirable photo and see how much work is involved in turning that less desirable photo into a photo with a background. The first thing that we want to do is go to the Select menu at the top, and we want to go down to Select and Mask. In this little quick tutorial, there are some times when using a PC will be slightly different keyboard shortcuts than using a Mac, but they should be pretty similar. I don't use a Mac on a regular basis, but in this case I'm using a Mac because it has a nice screen recorder. So, Edit, Select and Mask. And in this case, I went ahead and had this set ahead of time in the Properties under View mode set to Overlay, and it's the V thing that has it in red. By default, it's onion skin, and this works really nice on a PC. It's slightly different in a Mac. We're going to start with the default. So you see we have an onion skin over the photo here. The default tool over here is the quick selection tool. And also if you want to change this quick selection tool size to get more done, you can drag that as large as you want. The default on mine was at 13. I'm going to get it back down there, and we'll probably take it to, let's just call it 15 for now. Let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to left click on the section. The sections that we're clicking are the sections that we want to be visible. So as I click this, you'll notice as I drag my mouse around here, it exposes in full color the sections of the vehicle that I want to remain in this transparency mask. Now you want to be careful not to overrun it, because otherwise you'll turn something like that. So to undo, it's going to be Command Z on a Mac or Control Z on a PC. Now notice, I Control Z and it took away all of my work. This is a good reason to do a section at a time and then let off on your mouse. That gives you another point that you can undo to. So there's 2 points I've done, there's 3 points I've done, there's 4 points I've done. Now if I do a Control Z, it only took away the last point. So keep that in mind. It'll keep you from having to do a whole lot of work all over again. Also, Command plus will zoom. On a PC it's Control plus, and of course Control minus or Command minus will take the zoom away. So I'm going to zoom in to get a little more detail on this, and you'll see the onion skin going away as I select portions of this vehicle that I want to remain. And notice as I get down here, it's really delicate. I have the bottom part of this spoiler. But see, I went down here and it showed the shadows of the vehicle. For our purposes, that's okay because we want the shadows to shine through. In fact, we want the pavement to shine through, but I'm not going to get to that right now. Also notice I can move over here with the sliders up and down. And notice that this vehicle here was included in there. In some cases that has to happen because if you notice the colors, it's really hard for Photoshop to distinguish the difference. So we're going to fix that here in a little while. I'm going to zoom in here. If you notice the front tag had onion skin. On Mac, and it's probably the same on PC, I've had better results going to the overlay V. If you notice, I can see a whole lot better what I need to grab a hold of. So notice we went ahead and caught this vehicle here. We're going to fix that later. Go ahead and zoom in with Control plus as much as you need to make sure you're getting everything, because it's a whole lot easier to take your time now than to go back and have to do this over again. Oops. See? Control Z. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We're going to go around and make sure we haven't missed anything. Okay, right here I missed a section, and you'll notice I went ahead and picked up over here. It's too close a proximity. We're going to be okay with that because we're going to fix it here in a little while. Let's go ahead and zoom out with a Command or Control minus. For our intents and purposes, we do want the actual pavement in the background, so I'm going to go ahead and click that to make that visible as well, and that's exactly what we want for this case. My personal preference in these settings over here in the properties is to set the contrast to 15 and to set the shift edge to -15. So once we've done that and we're satisfied with the results here, we'll click OK to apply the mask, and that's what we have. Now let's clean up these messes back here. I'm going to do a Command plus or Control plus on PC. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in over here. And next, I'm going to select the Lasso Tool, a polygonal Lasso Tool. I'm going to click my mouse at the start of the section that I want to clip out or otherwise erase. And I'm going to click various points through here to start selecting a complete circle around what I want to get rid of. Now you don't really want to do a long straight line because vehicles aren't sharp edges and all straight lines. So you can click at various points throughout here to kind of give it the appearance of a radius. So we'll go ahead and click to complete this. What we do is we go back to our start point, and you'll notice that the mouse cursor turns into the polygonal tool with a little circle by it. That lets you know that you found the beginning, which is now your end. So click that. It'll turn into a dotted blinking line. Press the delete key. I believe on PC it might be the backspace key. And then hold down the Command D or Control D on a PC. So with the polygonal tool still selected, let's go find any other areas that we need to clean up. In this case, there's a little bit of cleanup to be done here. It's mostly a pretty straight line, so I should be able to make quick work out of it. As you do this a few times, you'll pick up a pretty good rhythm, and you should be able to complete these, depending on the vehicle photo, in anywhere from 3 minutes, 4 minutes, somewhere in that time range. So we do want to get rid of this over here clearly, but let's zoom out and let's make the best use of our time. For the overlay with the cityscape, we really want to keep some of this pavement, and you'll see how that makes sense in a while. So we need to get rid of this vehicle here, but really what we want in the end result is from this line down, we want that pavement to be visible and everything from here up to not be visible. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the car and both of those cars, get rid of those vehicles, and go ahead and create my pavement line. So I'm going to start right about center of this front license tag. I still have my polygonal tool selected. Click my start point, do a straight line over to the outer left edge, and go ahead and continue to start completing my selection. Now you can dart in here and there and get some, create some little bit of cut-ins, and with more clicks, create a pseudo radius, anything to break up the sharp lines. You can be as detailed as you like. So again, I'm taking it a little slow since this is a tutorial, but once you're in production, you should be able to make pretty quick work out of this. Okay, right there it completes my selection. I click it, delete, Command D or Control D on PC. I'm going to move over to this side and do a similar thing. Now, if you happen to mess up and click somewhere wrong, just press the delete key and it'll take you back to the last point you clicked at. Another reason to click more points than maybe what are necessary, it just keeps you from having to undo or having your undo too much. Delete, Command D. Keyboard shortcuts may be slightly different on PC. Should be Control D. Or it may be the backspace key instead of delete. So Command minus, zoom out. That looks pretty good for what I'm looking for. Now I still have this image open. I'm going to go ahead and click up here for my move tool. Not that it's necessary, but I'm going to go up to File and Open. And I'm going to find the overlay, or the background I guess I should say, that I'd like to use. And open that. So now we have our overlay, or our background here. Now we have our modified image here. One thing on these backgrounds, you can find backgrounds and have to purchase them on places like Deposit Photos, Fotilia, which I believe is now an Adobe product, Getty Images, various other stock photo sites like that. You may find some good results there. You'll have to pay for them, but you'll be able to use them continually. Now, for people who have professional grade cameras, you could go down to your downtown area at night and take a photo like this with various filters and lenses. You could go off into the desert by the mountains if that's what you wanted to do and take a picture of a road at road level and then off into the mountains. You could do a number of different things. You could actually take a photo from the concrete into a white wall if that's what you wanted. So you're better off if you have the opportunity and the skill sets to go ahead and create or actually take your background photos yourself, because you own them and nobody else can use them. They give you uniqueness, and you don't have to pay licensing fees. So, but for most of us, we don't have that option. You can just go to a stock photo site and search for a background that's going to work for you. Here in a little bit, I'm going to show you that not all backgrounds that you think will work. So let's get back to it. Now with this background open in this tab, we're going to go to select all, and there's a shortcut. So Command A or Control A on PC, but I'm going to use the menus for now. Then we're going to go to Edit and Copy, which is Command C on Mac and Control C on PC. We've copied it to our clipboard. We're going to go to the tab with our vehicle photo here, Edit, Paste, which will be Command Control V. Now I know that I'm going to need to resize this because you'll notice that it's not fitting here. It's an oversized image, which is fine. It has great fidelity. I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go to Transform. I don't want to go to Free Transform because Free Transform will allow me to skew it. Let me show you. Free Transform would allow me to make various mistakes. I don't really want that. So let me start over. I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and Scale. And now I can just drag my drag handles to get this thing scaled down proportionately to the size that I want. I'm going to leave it right about here for now. Now you notice that my background is covering up my actual vehicle photo. So to solve that, all I'm going to do is move the background from the Layers section and drag it down below the vehicle. And there we have that. If for any reason it doesn't drag, there's a possibility, look for a lock icon on one of these layers and click it to unlock it, and it will allow you to drag. So now I have my move handle selected as indicated by the mouse cursor right here. I'm going to drag my vehicle photo down to where it looks nice. I can still move my background a little bit if I want. Notice one thing here, there's a little fence here. I really don't want that visible, so I'm going to drag that down. Gives me a nice city view with plenty of room for these lights. And that's it. We're done. So to save this, I'm just going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to change it from the format Photoshop to a JPEG. You can rename it if you want to. I'll call it Sample 4. Saving it as a JPEG. This is where I'm saving it to. And I'll click Save. This is important though. You want maximum quality and you want a large file. That's going to give you the fidelity and the cleanliness because JPEG format is a loss format, so every time you save it, it loses quality. So save it at the maximum quality. And now it's saved. All that we would need to do now would be upload it to WebLot via the Vehicle Edit and the Pics tab with the little camera icon, or if you're using another service, you can upload it to that service with the interface that they provide. Another option that could work well for you, depending on your vehicle photo and what you're trying to accomplish, is once again select a mask, and then right up here is an obvious button that a lot of people miss, including myself, which is Select Subject. Click this, give it a moment, and then there you have that. So you'll still have to do some of the other techniques in this video more than likely, but depending on the photo and the background you're putting this vehicle on, this may work out well for you as well. Okay, so let's see how quick we can do this without the step-by-step directions. Done. So how long did it take? Let's get into some more difficult photos to do. In particular, lots that are very busy with a lot of things surrounding them, maybe next to a lot of different vehicles, maybe not the best camera angle. Before we get into this, it's very important that you pay attention to things like the angle in which you're taking the photo, what may or may not be in the background that you actually have the ability to control, lighting, perhaps having a white car up against a not white car, up against a blown out and washed out sunlight sky. Various things like that are going to make your life a whole lot easier if you take them into consideration and do the best you can with what you have to work with. So we have this photo open, and you can guess about how difficult this is going to be. But we're going to do the same thing with the same procedures that we did in the last vehicle. Once again, select and mask. So we have this vehicle open, and you can see we have it masked in red. I'm not going to worry about holding off the pavement until the end. We know we need the pavement, so I'm going to go ahead and get that just to make quick work out of this. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom in and see what we have to work with. You can notice that the red makes it really a lot easier to see the sections that you need to select to remain. Up here is a tricky spot. You notice the yellow on the windshield. You notice the yellow in the background. There's no real way around getting that to automatically select. We can maybe get this selector tool to a smaller size, but we'd be here all day trying to draw around here with hands that have been drinking coffee and possibly not in the best conditions. We'll do the best we can. You notice here, it's extremely difficult. There's a lot of busyness there. But you'll see in a minute that it's really not that difficult with these tools. Let's give it a once over. Make sure we haven't missed anything. I'm not sure. Not sure I want to mess with this. We'll see. We'll leave that as is. So it looks like we've got everything right here. Maybe use some attention. There we go. We run a chance of having this accidentally select this whole section here. I think we're going to be okay here. So let's Command or Control minus, and let's go ahead and apply our mask. And more than likely, we're going to be in good shape, as difficult as this vehicle looks like it would be. Now you can see what we have. Let's go ahead and zoom in and clean up the mess with our lasso tool. Now, keep in mind there are other tools available that you can use. For example, you could use the eraser tool first to fix certain blemishes, but you got to be really steady on your hand, and that may work for us in this situation. So there's a time and a place to use the eraser tool just to kind of blend in little things. There's a time and a place to use the lasso tool and the various other tools that you can explore here, but more than likely eraser, the lasso tool, and the select mask up here are going to be all that you're going to need to do this job. So we're going to get up here to the top and clean up this mess up by the roof line with the lasso tool and polygonal. All right, let's give it a once over. See if there's anything that we missed. If there is, we can go back after we apply our background. So that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and open our background. Now there's something important I want to point out here when it comes to the backgrounds. What you think may look nice and what may work well is not necessarily the case. So I'm going to click this one, the New Jersey skyline. I'm not even going to worry about scaling it at this point. I just want to show you. We'll just select all, edit, copy, go back to our vehicle photo. Oops, there we go. Edit, paste. We'll move it down below. Actually, let me worry about scaling it a little bit. Notice something like this is not really going to work well. You have concrete under the vehicle and you have a boardwalk made of wood, so clearly that's not going to work. So that's really important that you pay attention to your backgrounds. What you think will work well isn't necessarily always going to work well. Another example of that could be even this. This looks like that might work well, but it's not going to work well. In fact, let's take a look at it. See, that's just not going to look right. I mean, maybe you can maybe make it fly, but honestly, it doesn't look right to me. So pay attention to your backgrounds. One thing we did miss here is I need to go ahead and clean up the pavement here, and then we'll apply the background that I've found that works really nice. But overall, what I wanted to show you with this vehicle was that some vehicles can be more difficult than others depending on what the angle is that you took the photo, the various surroundings, but also even for the more difficult vehicles, you can make decent work out of it. But you'll see the end result, in particular with this one. The angle, I don't know if it's the angle, the lighting, or something about this vehicle and the way the photo was taken just doesn't work. So let's go ahead and apply that background we've been using all along. Let's see, select all, edit, copy, bounce over to our vehicle, edit, paste. Let's go ahead and scale it. And here in a moment, you'll see that it really makes a difference, the angles in which you take things. You know, it's possible you choose a different background. You have to work with what you have. But that gives you a little bit of an idea. Now keep in mind, we cannot scale this photo down to make it look nicer. You might think we could scale this down, but we really can't. If we could, that'd be nice. You know, we could make it look a little bit better if we were able to extend this pavement off over this way and this way, but we can't. So just keep that in mind when you're taking your photos. Try to do the best job that you can as far as learning the angles in which you need to take the photos, what's around them, how the lighting is, these types of things. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you can save yourself some money. And if you have dealers that require this kind of work, figure out a way that that you can make quick work of this. Once again, once you get used to it, you should be able to knock these out in anywhere from 3 or 4 minutes on average. Keep in mind, I'm using Photoshop. Photoshop charges $20.95 or $20.99, basically $21 a month. I don't normally use Photoshop. What I had to do I downloaded the 7-day free trial. Now this is cautionary for you. It's the $21 a month. If you do not back out of this at the end of the 7-day trial, let's say you decide you don't want to do it this way and you don't want to mess with it. If you do not back out of that 7-day trial before the 7 days is up, you basically committed to a year contract, and there are consequences if you try to cancel that contract early. So use those 7 days to make sure this is the way you want to go and the software you want to use. If not, get out, or you're going to be paying 50% of the year in a cancellation fee at the time of this video. So good luck, and hopefully this will save you some money and allow you to do a really quality job for your dealers. For WalkTheLot.com, this is Ken.